The camera that I purchased is... What's up, beautiful creators? I finally purchased a camera. Yes, all the searching, all the talking about what camera I wanted is finally done. Well, maybe, possibly, we'll see. And I want to talk to you all about the camera that I purchased, as well as compare it with the C200, because there are a lot of pros and cons for both. And I also received some filters that I was able to kind of test out and play with that made me like the new camera even more. And so with that being said, we're going to talk about that said new camera, which is the Blackmagic Pocket 6K. I decided as of now on the Blackmagic 6K for a couple reasons that we're going to get into. And the biggest reason why I decided to get the 6K was because of the price. Like, honestly, I couldn't beat it. I actually purchased it used from another creator, and they actually sold me the full bundle, so I didn't necessarily have to come out of pocket for anything, which could have deterred me from buying it. But because it came with everything right out the bat, I didn't necessarily have to add anything additional. A couple of things that it came with was the Blackmagic 6K, of course, a whole tilter cage with the top handle. It also came with a 1TB SSD drive, the Tilta Nano wireless follow focus system, and it also came with a Sigma 18-35mm lens, 1.8. So now I actually have two, and I just felt like for the price that they were selling it to me for, I couldn't not get it. My thought process was, if anything, I could rent it out, or I could also just use it more so as a production camera, and then for my personal work, use the C200, use the Sony a7 III, or the C70 that I'm interested in buying. So that was kind of like my thought process when I decided to purchase this camera. There are pros and cons when I compare it to the C200. Of course, the C200 has amazing autofocus, and so with the Blackmagic, that was kind of scary, and I felt like with me receiving that follow focus, it kind of helped on a little bit with that worry of the autofocus and not having the autofocus with the Blackmagic. And so I have been able to play with the follow focus system. It's not bad. There's still some kinks that I need to work out. Another big thing for me, which is really what I wanted to talk about in this video, was the built-in ND filters that the C200 offers. So I was really scared when I decided to go for the Blackmagic, because outside of the autofocus, the other biggest thing was the built-in ND filters. I feel like once you get a camera that has built-in ND filters, you kind of don't want to not have a camera that doesn't have them. And so for me, it was a big thing, because I realized with the C200, I was using those ND filters a lot. And I had never really used ND filters as much before. I really only had one, and it was just a 6-stop. It wasn't even a variable ND or anything like that. And so I really didn't do a lot of things that required me to use NDs. Now, of course, with the C200, it is more of a run and gun. It has the built-in XLR, built-in SDI, all of the great stuff. And for what I do, it's just perfect for me. But in my mind, I figured that if I ever needed to use the C200, I could use my job C200, which I'm using now. Thankfully, they allow me to do so. I'm also considering the C70, which will also further enhance my personal projects and kind of be in comparison with the C200, and they're both in the same family. And so looking at the 6K as more of a production camera, where when I have a full crew, someone who could pull focus if I needed to, when I do need to use an easy rig, more so like bigger productions, the 6K was kind of what I was aiming for. But the ND filters were the biggest thing that I felt like I was going to miss outside of the autofocus. So with that, luckily Polar Pro sent me the Peter McKinnon variable ND filters, the signature as well as the mist edition, and I was able to test them out and see what I thought about them, and I am in love with these filters. But a couple of things that I like personally with my workflow was, one, the presentation to me is just beautiful. Like, it's just a beautiful filter. I love the gold accent, the black, like everything about that. It's aluminum, it's gorgeous the way it came packaged. I really love that. When you open it, it has Peter's signature. This just looks so beautiful to me. I don't know why. It's just this black Defender 360 case. It just keeps it protected. all the way around, and it's waterproof and dust proof, so that's a plus. You know, you can do what you need to do with it. Sometimes I will admit I don't take the best care of my equipment, so sometimes I just kind of stick it where it needs to go, but to know that it is protected all the way around is beautiful. The first thing that I like about these filters are the threading around the filter. So the reason why that's important to me is because I have gotten a filter stuck on a step-up ring before and could not for the life of me separate them, and that was the only step-up ring that I had to fit my lens. And so to have the threads around the filter to where you can kind of like grip and make sure that you can kind of unscrew and screw it onto your step-up or your lens without, you know, worrying on if it's gonna get stuck or not, that was just big for me because I've dealt with that before. So it may be minute, but it was really huge for me to see that the threads around it. Another big thing for me when it came to this filter was the haptic feedback. And what that is as you can hear, maybe it basically clicks into place every stop, and so that you're not just moving it and hoping that it actually lands on the stop that you need it to be precise with your stops and things like that, so you can just keep rolling and have just such a more efficient workflow as you're shooting. This one is 2 to 5 stops. They also have 6 to 9 stops as well. It's no vignetting. I used this before and I didn't witness any vignetting, but for what I used it for, I was doing a short film and I used it the whole day, and my image came out so beautiful. I was using a Sigma 18-35, but I also did use it on some Canon FD vintage lenses as well. And again, no vignetting, beautiful image quality. The last thing that I love about this filter is the mist addition. Now, if you always find yourself using a Pro Mist, I would definitely recommend getting the mist addition over the signature, because it's basically a double filter. It's not only a variable ND filter, but it's also like a diffusion filter, a softening filter. And I always use my Pro Mist or my Prism FX Dream filter, which I'm using now, and so I'm always using a diffusion filter. And to be able to have a double filter and not have to stack, again, it's also about just ease of use, easy workflow, like how to make it easy on yourself. And so normally with the C200, it already had the built-in NDs, and I was able to just put the Pro Mist on top or put the Dream filter on top. And then with this, I don't really lose anything, because now that I have the 6K, I still have the Sigma 18-35, and this will have the mist diffusion as well as the variable ND. So they kind of covered all spots for me when it came to this filter. And so I appreciate Polar Pro and Peter McKinney for creating such a masterpiece. Thank you so much. And definitely check this out. Definitely check out their site. They have so much more information if you guys are interested in this. Again, I just love the whole presentation of it. It's such a beautiful filter, and everything about it is what I'm about. So yeah, that is the new camera that I purchased, the Blackmagic 6K. If you guys are having any questions, please let me know. And definitely check out the Polar Pro Peter McKinney edition, the signature and the mist, and let me know your thoughts. If you already have it, definitely let me know your thoughts, and hopefully I'll see you guys soon.